At the top of our crown here, we have the Queen or the King, who is our point on earth with Yeshua in the heavens. And around that throne are the lords. So we have lords in the house, and then we have a government in the house. So from the lords, which should really cover every aspect of life and society, then goes to the government with the law in order to administer for us as people. So if all is working really good, then we have a spiritual heart that connects to the people, and we all, as one, as citizens of our empire, are all jolly and happy. But that's not so, is it? Because this is a contract that's set up through the crown. I mean, in America, they have a constitution, they have a Bill of Rights, but we have none such. But what there is the contract that the Queen has with the Christ and with God. And the Queen is put on that throne through the bishops. Because you may wonder, well, who gives the Queen the Queen? Well, it's the church. Because the church is meant to be connected with Christ. And they're meant to be administering Christ's teachings to us. But of course, that's not so either, is it? Because right now we are at the end of a 2,000-year period from when the light of Christ first manifested through Yeshua's teaching and eventual ascension. So in our history here, it was Yeshua who came and built the Wattle and Daub temple here originally. He came here when he was 18. And previous to that, he came here when he was a child. And he spent 2 years as a boy walking these lands, and where he also became aware of his eventual crucifixion. And then when he returned when he was 18, he built the Wattle and Daub Church ready for his mission to begin on earth. And when Yeshua was crucified, when he was killed on the cross, Joseph the Arimathean, along with the Magdalene, some of the disciples and friends, came here with the cross and buried that cross underneath the chapel, and then built cells around that chapel, which began the first church here. Church, I say, because Yeshua never advocated churches, because he knew that any organization would become corrupt. Previous to this, in 750 BC, God gave the command for those in heaven to restore peace on earth. Because all the tribes of the earth, including the Jews, after Solomon's temple fell, had fallen into pagan worship and were sacrificing animals and their sons and daughters on the fire. So there was a great need for Christ to come, but the way need to be prepared. And a solar Lord, which I'll explain what is in a moment, came to earth and incarnated or manifested on Tintagel Island in Cornwall. And there, amongst the Druid and Neolithic tribes, he made friends until he eventually managed to teach them. And after time, people came from all over to build up a monastery there. Now, he came there with a specific teaching of the different rays of creation. And after 48 years of living there, the people themselves took on this teaching and built a temple at a place called Temple in Cornwall. They called this man Ara the Good. And at the end of his life, he came here to Glastonbury. And he was in quite despair at the lack of love of everybody and the way that everything had gone into hate. The Druids here had a stone circle on top of the tor where they did blood sacrifices. Well, Ara was guided by Archangel Michael to go up on top of Chalice Hill. And then Josias, who is the higher aspect of Yeshua, came in the clouds holding a chalice, and he handed it to Ara. So he had brought this chalice from the heavens. So Ara then lay with this chalice on the hill and was shown where it came from. The chalice, if you imagine the essence of life in a solid form, this essence of life was given to Yeshua as a solid form, like a rod, you might say. And he breathed his love into it to turn the center of it into a rose color. And then all the other adepts, because there are 12 altogether, breathed their essence into it as well. And then it was fashioned into a grail. And it was brought to earth. And Ara buried it 20 feet deep into Chalice Hill. And then he was uplifted back. His atoms or molecules turning back into light, and he went back into the heavens. So when Yeshua came here as a boy, he was brought by Joseph the Arimathean. Now, Joseph the Arimathean was a reincarnation of Ara the Good. And during his life, he woke up to his previous life as Ara the Good and knew that he had brought the Grail. So he brought Yeshua the boy here so that Yeshua also could become aware of the Grail that he originally delivered. And that he could also connect with this place, because back at the beginnings of this earth, this place of Glastonbury, this place of Avalon, was a temple of Josias's. It was a glass crystal temple. And that's why it's called the Isle of Glass. So Yeshua had come here in order to restore that temple that was here before. So when he was 18 and he built the Wattle and Daub temple, he was reconnecting back. So this was all about restoring the earth back to its original, because earth used to be a paradise. Science tells us a story that stars explode and then through whirling masses, then gravity sticks them all together and you get a planet. And then suddenly a bit of life appears. Don't say where that came from. But then over billions of years, we manifested to become who we are. But the true story is that every life and every planet is birthed from God through the breath of God. And that this earth is a living planet that is 8 million years old. And for the first 3 million years of its life, it was a paradise. the Essenes study astrology. And when I discovered that, I thought, well, this is kind of what I do. It's like circular thinking. Because circular thinking involves the heart and the mind. You know, the mind only gets a certain view of the world because generally our society puts us in the left brain all the time, doesn't acknowledge the heart or the intuition. So we end up with a very narrow view of the world. And it's that world that we live in. And that's why it can seem like we're in a prison here. We're cut off from the rest of the universe by our limited thoughts. And because we live in a state of conflict and war and horror, basically, we create all these thought forms and all these feelings that create a thick goo around us. So we're in a self-imprisoned, cut off from the universe because of our limited thinking and our lack of heart. So the original Trinity that Yeshua taught, and one that comes about naturally, is that there is a mother of God. There is a mother in life that is our living mother. And yet we have never been taught this. We live on earth in a body that is created by our mother, that creates everything in creation. And a mother is also with the Father. And the Father is the Spirit, and the Father gives us the vision or the Spirit in the body of the mother that we, as children, as sons of God, can live a life of joy and happiness. So we are taught by the Church that the Trilogy is the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. But the Trilogy is the Father, the Mother, and the Son. We can see this in electricity. You know, if electricity has to move before it becomes apparent. So if you had a point of electricity, that would be the positive. And when that moves, it then produces magnetism out of it. So you end up, a movement of electricity becomes electromagnetic. And it's on a path that if on the other end of that wire there was be a light bulb, it would light up. So something that science can't answer is when the positive moves, it moves first. And then the negative moves. But when they hit a wave point, they're at exactly the same place. So although one was first, they arrive and carry on in the same place. So the same with creation is that the Father appeared first, then the Mother, and then the Son. So if the circle was the heart of Christ, or the heart of life, then the first movement was the sound. So the sound is like the first Son of Christ, which is the I Am. Sound becomes light. So then the birth of the light was the Trinity and the birth of the Son. Light needs a fabric to rest upon. So the sound, or the I Am, is what it rests upon. And the Son is the light of the world. Light, I mean the energy of creation, so that everything, whether it be a planet, a life form, or a plant, or anything from the elemental kingdoms, all come from that one light, from that essence that is Josias, the sun. So when we think about life and creation, we have to think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. Because the truth is, in our atoms, most of it is empty space. In fact, we are not really that solid when it comes down to it. So we see in our model of our hierarchy, we have the Queen in the middle and we have the Lords, which is the same as in the heavens, where you have that original I am, the Word, then becomes the communication between God and what are solar lords. Because all of life is these rays of creation. And these are the qualities of the rays that make all planets and make all life. So, if I was talking about the rays in me, then the silver ray of life and love is the one ray that everything comes from. So all these other rays come from it. And it also is within these rays. Without the life and love, there would be no creation. The yellow ray of sight is the same silver ray of life and love, but it's dimmed to give us sight. So this energy is the ability of the universe to see itself. So however much of this energy is within us, gives us outer sight and inner sight. The green ray of nature growth comes from the heart of Josias. So everything that is green, everything that we see as wonderful of creation is actually the heart of life and love. And with this nature ray is also all the elementals and the fairies. The ray of creativity, we all recognize creativity in ourselves. Is that we have no creativity, then we're probably depressed. But if we have creativity, it's for all things. And this is the golden ray of creativity. And the ray of knowledge, sometimes you can tap into knowledge and it can seem like a deep, vast library you're looking at. And you're trying to find your question and you're tapping into this ray of knowledge. The amethyst ray of perfume is that everything in creation also has a perfume. We each have a perfume that is our smell. Everything in creation has its smell. In a quality of being, this is the ability to be compassionate, to be of refined character, to be like a delicate perfume. The medical ray is what the disciples would have used to do their miracle healings with. And this ray also works with our prayers, so that when you pray for healing for someone, that message is taken to the solar plane where this ray comes from. And the right healing ray is produced specifically for that person and sent to them. It's that precise. The ray of electric magnetism and heat, everything in the world and all our atoms and cells has an electric charge. And the magnetism binds all our cells together. when they're looking at galaxies, spiral galaxies, and they observe that the theory tells us that the outer planets should be spinning off. But when they look at it, they're going at the same speed. So they've come up with this explanation called dark matter as to why that happens. But actually that is this ray in action, keeping everything in shape and keeping everything cohesive. The ray of recording and foresight is from everything in creation is recorded. We all have a book of life. So before we come into incarnation, we look in this book to see what is our best life to accomplish our goals. And when we're not in our bodies, our goal is always to try and get back to God, to try and get back to love. So we incarnate with the greatest opportunity to accomplish that. So then again, when we depart our life, we get back to the book of life to see how we've done. And collectively, we all have a book of life as well. And that book of life determines how we are now and what we collectively do. So the ray of art, music and colour. What would life be like without art, music and colour? You see, they're all connected. And they're all something that unites us, that elevates us. My belief is that a revolution in arts, one connected with such teachings, would transform this world. We would be amazed at what we produce. We'd be amazed at what we can show each other. We'd be amazed at how we can explain things in a creative way instead of a logical way. The ray of power and rulership is Archangel Michael's ray. The first ray of silver love and life is intertwined with Michael's ray of power and rulership, because love is also governed by power and rulership, and that makes it safe. The 13th ray, which is a new ray that appeared just after the First World War, is the ray of sound, because there's so much noise in creation that this ray of sound creates a wall to block you from the sounds and to allow you to come into a sense of peace that will take you so deep that you would then hear the voice of God or hear the songs of the little people. So these rays, you can imagine a creation story whereby you've got the heart of God, and God is the Christ, because Christ is love. Christ is unconditional love, and our God is of love. So you have the circle of Christ. It then births his Son as the sound, and then the Trinity births the Son as the light. And then the light becomes the many through these rays. So creation in the light, in the created worlds, is a combination of the mother and the father, the mother being the physical, the earth, the father being the spiritual and the light, and these rays, which are brother, so the Lord, so it's the mother and father and the brothers, then create all these blendings of the rays to give us the qualities to make us who we are. And who we are is made in the image of God. because the concentration of these rays empower us to become godlike. These rays govern us as they are now. But because of our thinking, because of our fallen state, these rays have become muddied. They've become distorted. So the knowledge we have of ourselves is also distorted. So by connecting with these rays in order to clean up our understanding of what life is, so again, circles will allow us to see a universe as a circle, or maybe 12 universes as circles. So our universe doesn't come from a point, because all universes are in circles around themselves, like a big onion. So the circle, the original circle, is the circle, God's universe, in the center. God then births Josias, or the Son. So the second universe is the universe of Josias, or Yeshua. And the second universe was a universe of women only. And then the third universe was a universe of men only. So the humanity learnt about the love side of itself, and then the mind of itself. And then the next universe, the men and women came together for the first time. And that's where we had a true democracy. It's the democracy that we strive for and we remember actually exists in this universe. And then we have made a journey, if you like, through these different universes, learning these different things. And in each universe, the idea is to learn what the universe is designed for and then go back to God. But this universe is the 12th universe, where all those 11 lessons before come together, they all get mixed together. So this universe and this planet, there is every kind of lesson, there is every kind of learning. And that we, as souls, have come from these different universes in order to bring that all together here. So each soul was birthed into being from the breath of God. So every soul, that means all of us, was once androgynous. We were both male and female. But then to come into incarnation, to come into the light worlds, we split off and become twin souls. And that's why the women were the first universe, and then the men, and then together. Because whatever we were at that beginning, whether male or female, is the same that we've been all through creation. You have been women, and we have been men. And our whole purpose in our journey is to keep coming back to our twin self, our twin soul. All the time we are connected, whether we're in life or out of life. Many people, some people, have discovered their twin souls here. But many people, and I would say most people, their twin soul is not here because of the nature of this earth, where because of all that goo, if you like, that when we incarnate in here, we don't know where we come from. We forget. It's very easy to get lost here because actually evil is rife here. So as a twin soul, you wouldn't both want to get lost. It's better if one stays out to help them. But generally the goal is to fulfill our lives as our half of the twin self in order to unite again with our twin soul. So individually, we have made a journey through 12 universes. And we are now about to make a journey back. So with our history, we have gone through a kind of timeline. From Revelation, verse 4, is there will be 1,000 years of light, and then there will be 1,000 years of dark. Following this, every soul goes before God to see if their name is in the book of life. And for those whose name is in the book of life, they enter into the New Jerusalem. So this is all the Bible teaching. Our church, which is set up for these teachings, and our monarchy, if they were connected with God and they were on the ball, we would all be prepared. But we're not. We've had 2,000 years of teachings and revelations to get ready. But we're not ready. And this earth is in a peril of danger. Because yes, we are meant to ascend. We are meant to overcome evil. And that it's all happening now. But it's also happening that we are not ready and we're not doing anything. We're not uniting and we're not loving the earth. We're leaving it up to leaders that don't know what to do. It's out of their league. And we're in a system that is intent on exploiting the earth. And right now, instead of fighting for peace, we're getting into more wars. So all the other kingdoms of nature are in peril right now. The elemental kingdoms, the fairy kingdoms. We are a living planet in a solar system that also has other living planets. We are affecting everything around us. Everything is concerned. So as much as we could come together and ascend, we could also come into extinction right now. Because we're not prepared. So we need to find something outside the box and something that's very real, that's been hidden from us throughout history. And contained in our history is the story of the first Christian church, the Christ Church, that spread out from here. And these are seen teachings that were also given back in 750 BC through here and in France were spread amongst the people. King Arthur came out of those teachings, and he rose up to be the first spiritual king. But in his spiritual kingship, he sat down with his knights in the same circle. It wasn't King Arthur and them, he was part of the knights. Our hierarchy have taken on these stories. They have lived them out. But we, right now, are left without anything from it. In the past year, Sister Dominic has been doing various channelings from Lord Yahweh and Lord Yeshua and I am. I have helped prepare these teachings, and they are available to listen to on the Christ Rose website. Further teachings are coming for us to know that God exists again, and that God is very close to us, and that Yeshua is here now, that he is present, that the revelations have fulfilled themselves, and that the rest of creation has transformed. And yet we, in our little bubble, are unaware of this. And through these teachings, we can become aware. So how do we do this? In astrogeny, we have the Father, Mother, and the Son. So in our life, there is the Mother, and our Mother Earth is not just the mother of this earth, but of all planets. She is Mother of God, along with the Father of God, Jehovah, who looks after the spiritual worlds. And we are the sons of our Father and Mother. We each were born from the breath of God, and we all have lived in universes of time, but here in Britain we have also lived through generations of time, because the people that have been fighting throughout our history, those people that have been killed for speaking the truth, those people that are the heart of our nation is us. And we are incarnate now. So we need to come in and connect with the Mother and the Father, and to know that we are sons of God. That we, through these rays, can come into great power in order to transform this earth. That everything we need to know is available to us because it's been learnt before. In this world, there are many inventions that never see the light of day. If we start coming together through heart and mind, circles of activity, and using these rays to bring out our gifts of spirit, then the censorship would stop. We would demand to know the knowledge that is given to us. We can turn this world around very quickly, or we could die as an extinct, self-suicidal race, because that's also where we're heading. 2 weeks ago, I gave an address with a final warning for this world. And you can listen to it on the Christ Rose website. We have a destiny in this island. You know, they say, well, we live in Europe to get power back. And yet, everybody has fought for power on these islands. And it's just been blood and confusion. In the end, the way that power comes is by yielding, by turning round, because we're also turning round in the universes from ever creating to now go back to God. So we all have to turn around and try and make a connection to our Mother, Father, God. And in that Trinity, know that that Trinity comes from the heart of Christ. And that really our true Father is Lord Yahweh, who is the Christ. Because in this New Jerusalem, the New Jerusalem is a creation-wide event. And basically it's where all 12 universes are now turning back on themselves. And our Earth is the youngest planet in this 12th universe. And it's very special in that it's the place where the universe does go back on itself. So 2 years ago, the New Jerusalem was anchored into the heart of Glastonbury here. While we went into COVID lockdown, the whole of creation changed through this act. The New Jerusalem can be explained like this. You have God's creation on the outbreath of God. So through 12 universes, the outbreath of God is birthing all these planets and all these beings on the planets. And it's this great creation. And that creation is created through the Mother and Father and the Solar Lords as the brothers. But there comes a point where you're going to have an in-breath again. So all this journey through the universes to this point, everything's now going to go back. But in the New Jerusalem, everything that is of God is going back and everything else is going to drop away. So in this New Jerusalem, we will become one with God and one with Yeshua. And we will see God in each other's faces. Because there will be no evil anymore. We have moved into that point where the New Jerusalem is intersecting with our fallen state that we live in here. So the empires that rule us, the way of thinking, the way of doing things is all passing away. So what we need to do now is in ourselves come in to that Trinity consciousness of Father, Mother, and the child. Because if we don't act to this earth as if it's our living mother, then we will not save it in ourselves. Because when our ego mind looks at the earth and we can see that it's alive, but can we connect to it being alive? The only way we can connect is with our hearts and our mind together. So when I talk about Trinity circles, it's about each person coming into a Trinity consciousness in themselves and connecting that in with their hearts. And then from that connection, connecting with everyone else. So that when we come to sit in circles and we come to talk about life and what we do with it, in every aspect, we are talking from a child of God point of view. We are talking to save our Mother Earth and our Father's spiritual kingdom. We are connecting with our Creator so that God then becomes present in our lives. So here in Britain, every person from the Queen down needs to do this so that we can awaken the heart of Britain and reveal its soul in the stories of its past. Because in these stories of the past is also the teaching that they teach. And this teaching is now present and resurfacing for us to listen to and to act upon. More teaching is going to come out, teachings that will show the absolute truth with proof of Yeshua and his journey, the growth of the true heart of Britain here with the Holy Grail, and how all of this is our national treasure, because these teachings are very simple. A child can understand them. There is no hierarchy, because even Josiah or Yeshua, who is our greatest brother and the light of the world, is our brother. And we are brothers and sisters that are all sons of God, and that we can connect with God now without any theology. And we can see God moving then in creation, because by degenerating the mother in all the teachings, we come and look upon the earth as something to be used, something inferior. Oh, I will be happy to leave this earth and go home to spirit. But this earth is beautiful. This earth is perfect. It's we who are destroying it. It's we who are ugly. So by connecting in with the Trinity consciousness, we also connect in with God. And when we come together, there isn't anything that we can't discuss, being able to see the whole of it in circular thinking, in a true democracy of what we need to do next. And at the same time, we will all be in preparation for the true second coming that has been set up in our hierarchical relationship here in Britain. That the Queen will pass over to the presence of God, to the presence of Yeshua, because in this New Jerusalem, everything has moved up. So Lord Yahweh, who is the heart of the Christ, has now moved up into higher realms that are newly created. Our mother and father, who came from one being, who came from Lord Yahweh, have now moved up to these Christ realms and have merged into one, and are now taking Lord Yahweh's place as the Lord Christ eternal. And you know, when the parents, they built their kingdom, and they built it for their sons and daughters. So we're at the point now where everything is being passed on to the next generation. So the son, Josiah, is now sitting on his father's throne. And his chosen wife, the Magdalene, is now sitting on the mother's throne. And I Am, who was that original sound from God before the light, is now in the Son's place. So we are also facets of the Son. He is the one and we are the many. So I am is now within our hearts. I am means that we can stand up in our light, that we can discover the light coming from us as well, just like Josias. In the New Jerusalem, we are all elevated, and we are all equal in that elevation, and that we're now all going back to God. But we need to manifest that here, simply by yielding and letting God come through us, letting I am work through us, letting Josias work through us, letting the mother work through us, so that we as children can be free to love, to enjoy, and save this earth. Because as much as evil takes over us, if we came together, we could nullify the evil of this planet. And we need to do it now. So, any questions? I described to you the rays, and the creative ray, the golden creative ray. In the third universe of men, there were the people lived close on a planet that was close to its sun. So during the midday, they would live within the earth. And they discovered this mushroom in the dark, and they started eating it. And God came to them and he said, don't eat that mushroom. It's ugly. It's not love. So the people stopped eating it. But one person thought God wasn't looking, and he ate some more to defy God. But God saw that. Now this soul that did that was the son of the solar lord that is head of the golden ray, the ray of creativity. And at the time, nothing really happened. But in the subconscious, if you like, of Samana, who was this solar lord of the creative ray, over the breadth of all the universes, when it came to the 11th universe, the 11th universe is all about mechanics. And so in learning about all about mechanics, we get very material-minded. It's the problem we have now. And in the 11th universe, it got to such an extreme whereby there were constant wars everywhere, planets getting destroyed, because they're all fighting for resources to build all these things. So in the 11th universe, through these wars and through the ownership of these things, jealousy and hate became rife in humanity. So although evil didn't take hold then, Samana got the idea from humanity that he could now defy God. So there was a planet that he was put in charge of creating. And when he'd created it, he said, look at this planet that I have created. Look what I have done. So no giving credit to God or the power of the ray that created it, because all the rays, all the planets are breathed into being by God, and then through the mother and father and the rays, they are created into what they are. So he couldn't be persuaded out of this idea that he created it. And for that, he was ejected out of heavens, and there was a great war. So a whole ray, if you like, was cast out of heaven, along with the angels and archangels that worked under him. And they set themselves up as a black ray on the outer edges of time and space. And this black ray is being beamed around the universes, so that when planets get caught in that beam, they get destroyed or severely injured. And that is actually what happened to Earth. Our Earth was a paradise for 3 million years, until that ray hit it. That ray takes the energy of the other rays, and that way distorts the other rays. But it also makes itself blacker and blacker. And it's this ray penetrating the other rays that affects everybody. It affects our institutions, it affects the way we think. Because the rays are infected by it. It's like putting mud in our glass and it all goes muddy. And we live in that mud. Because the rays are... So evil is a very real thing. And it can manifest as persons, beings, but it's all manifested in everything. So if we don't discriminate, we don't seek real knowledge, then we believe in 1,000 different religions that have been tainted from the truth. Instead of managing to connect with the source of the teachings that can be gotten by connecting with these rays. So in the New Jerusalem, obviously evil's being destroyed or defeated. And you could say that the head of it has been cut off. But because we're in our own little bubble on this world, evil is still rife here because it's acted out by everybody. You know, in creation, everything acts out, it repeats itself. We've gone through building up of empires, falling. They've all followed the same path. It's all the same story, just going... You know, the real story is that we all lived in a paradise and we knew who Mother and Father was. We knew what God was. We knew each other. Everything was really a paradise. But then one day, suddenly, everything started to explode. Everything, the whole world turned upside down. And then a new people appeared. And these new people were not the same as the old people. They didn't have love in their hearts. We were orphans from the time before. We were cut off through this catastrophe from who we were. We were then influenced, if you like, by these new people, surrogate parents. And throughout history, most people on this planet, who were the ones that came here, didn't originate here, so they have no connection to the earth. It's through these people that the Mother of God has been taken out of our conversation, out of our knowing. Taking the Mother of God out closes down our hearts. Because when our heart is open to Mother Nature and God, then you will see all the spiritual kingdoms in the Mother Earth. It's a perfect... The Mother and Father are one and apart. So everything that is in the spiritual realms is here on earth. This is a beautiful earth. This is a special jewel. This Earth is the most special in 12 universes. But this Earth is about to die from our doing. Any more questions?
No, so how do we stop this planet from dying? What do we have to do?
We have to change our timelines. Our whole timelines here are one of conflict. Individually, we have to learn to love again. We have to go out and love creation, to love each other. If we come into a Trinity consciousness, if we sit within ourselves to try and find a relationship to Mother, because we pray to God and we ask, maybe God speak to me. But there's Mother of God and there's Father of God. So if we include both in our prayers and we give thanks for Mother, our Mother Earth, our living Mother Earth, and give thanks for the Father, and give thanks that we are God's children. There isn't any other. Everybody came from Christ and everybody is God's children. Whether they're evil or not, everybody came that way. So we need to love individually and we need to love together. So if we come into Trinity circles and we come in with the awareness of the rays, then we will, as a group, connect with God. As a group, we will connect with the Mother. And as a group, we can bring out our gifts and share our gifts, because our gifts are the gifts we need to heal the earth. We all came here for this purpose. There isn't anything else to do. This system is falling apart. It's collapsing. Do we want to live in fear and watch it? We're watching Rome burn, so to speak. We're watching this planet. We're waiting for someone else to do it. And if we wake up to our soul gifts, we will find those gifts are all part of the puzzle we need to come together to create a new world. This circle should really start here in Glastonbury. This is the heart of the planet. If you connect in your heart and you connect within the earth here, you're connected into the heart of the Mother. Everybody could effectively do that all over the planet. Sit down and connect with the heart of the Mother. Because when you connect with the heart of the Mother, you're also connecting with the heart of the Father. And then through the Father and the Mother, through the Christ, Lord Yahweh. And in this New Jerusalem, with I am in your heart, I am as part of the love aspect, then we can stand up in our light. And together, evil will not be able to stop us anymore. We're afraid to stand in our light because we know that evil has killed us before. But now, 1,000 years of light have been, 1,000 years of dark have been. In that dark, we lost our story. But now, the book of life has been read, and the New Jerusalem is manifest. Now we are the ones that we were waiting for to save us. And we can do that now by coming together in a new way, by realizing a central truth of life. Not a 1,001 religions, not I appreciate your point of view, but we'll agree to differ. Meanwhile, we'll do nothing. We need to learn to love. A lot of people have given up. A lot of people are exhausted. A lot of people are broken-hearted. But we're in a movie where everything has gone wrong and everything is about to explode. But then right at that last bit, we pick up something and we pick ourselves up and we turn it around. And we turn it around by coming back to God. Not the God that the church has taught us, and not a Jesus on a cross, but a Yeshua who's ascended and who now comes back to us with the Magdalene to give teachings to the world. And those teachings are on this website, and you can listen to them. And more are coming, so that we are all prepared for the real second coming. We're just a bit slow here because we're impregnated in a lot of muck. We need to clean up our act. Because all the new leaders are going to rise up amongst us. And if we come into real talking circles and vision circles, we'll learn how to be eloquent with our truth. We'll learn how to stand in our truth. We'll learn how to listen to each other. And in that power of listening, a greater truth can come through. In those circles, we will realize our gifts. So many people have no confidence who they are, but they have a great gift. And it's time that we bring each other forward. It's time that we start coming together in a new way, as sons of God, as sons and daughters of the Trinity, as powerful beings that have traversed universes to get here, to do this one thing. Because some people have come here from the future, so to speak, with an action to enact. And other people have come from star systems with a special gift to bring into the circle. All of us have a gift for this time and this transformation. And we need to go inside and ask God for what it is, and then share it. And we will find that we'll all come together in an excited way, because we'll have what we need to transfer and change this world. We can bring it from the brink, or we can watch ourselves drop off the edge.
From what I understand, only in my own exploration, is I fully agree with everything you're saying. What I sort of been told, is that I know we're on the brink, but God does have a master plan, and there are many here who are quietly fulfilling that, and like you are drawing more into the circle. So I just don't see it that way. I know we're on the precipice, that we are going to plunge into, extinction,
The warning that's come from I Am is that the other kingdoms here are suffering greatly. We were never meant to eat the animals.
Sorry?
We were never meant to eat the animals.
I
And we were never meant to exploit nature. So this planet could ascend, but there is also the option and the warning from I Am that may not include humans because of the way we are. You could say that there's a big plan for this ascension. Of course there is. But that means us taking our part. And if we're not taking our part, then we can't undertake it.
So we've made ourselves disposable. Everything can survive without us.
Everything would thrive without us.
We have to have that into balance. The rest of life.
Well, it's like I said before, we've had 2,000 years to prepare ourselves and we're not ready. You know, we had big conferences on how we're going to green up the world. And then 18 months later, oh, we've got a war, we'll go for that, we'll go and do the war instead. Suddenly, no money for green projects. You'll just notice that we talk a lot about doing things, but we do the opposite. I'm talking collectively with our governments. We are moving away. It's like, there's a plan for ascension, and there's also a plan to give you what you want. So if collectively you want death and destruction, then that's what we're going to get. Because that's what we've chosen. So we could go through this next phase by coming together, and by loving the world, and by rising up in a new rulership that allows us to do that. Or we'll just be watching ourselves to destruction. We are part of this. God does it because we're part of it. It's what we want. We're the humans here. We're the family. Collectively, we are being driven in a place that we don't want to go. We can't go into the system and change it. It's the system that's wrong. It's the way of thinking that's wrong. But if we don't change the way of thinking, we can't change our actions. So, I mean, I can't speak on behalf of I Am and say, well, we're all going to be destroyed. But he has just given a message and a warning to that effect. That it's not a done fact if we're not a part of it. Because we are choosing the opposite. But if there's also a destiny of this country, then God is also acting within it. And if the contract the Queen and the people have with Christ is right, then we will all rise up from the heart here in Glastonbury to accept our birthright as sons and daughters of God.
Would you agree for the path for humanity? I sort of understand we have starseeds, light workers, and humanity, and we're all part of the same consciousness. Some have come here, like yourself and others, to spread the word like you are spreading. Would you agree that humanity as a race have a free will and free choice to join the higher vibrations, the new thought for the new world? Everybody has that personal choice, which has been going on for many years. So I don't think we're quite at the end of that choice, but there's going to come a time for things to move on, where that choice, depending on what I've heard the term, how much light in the soul. I'm not saying it have to be perfected, but that would be everybody, really the core of what I was just sharing and asking if you felt that. Was humanity, every individual has a free will, which we were given as a gift, and a choice of which path they want to take. Do you agree with that?
Well, from my understanding, the Book of Life, that was decided by the Mother, by the way, the Mother God. The Book of Life had looked into all the lives that we've had, and it kind of weighs it up. So if you're on that scale of the good, then your name would be in the Book of Life. So you've already made the choice.
Yeah. Is it Archangel Michael who's written the Book of Life?
No, it's the Lord Kahana.
Could you spell that? So we can look a little into it.
The Tech Ray, Cornflower Blu-ray, recording and full site, or his name's not there. It's Kahana, K-A-H-A-N-A-H. Kahana. So it's called people call it the Akashic, but it's not, it's Kahana.
And would the Book of Life be connected to be seen?
The Book of Life is connected to all.
Okay.
Anyone else?
We're constantly encouraged to consume and living a simple life is never encouraged, which it seems to me our way of life is destroying the planet, and that we ought to be living much more simply.
The transformation really means that everything that is of God, so everything that's good, will remain, and everything else will go. Our way of life fundamentally is wrong in that Mother Nature gives us everything, and yet we have to decide to buy it and own it. This is the first lie. So at the moment, we are getting high inflation, and the cause being that our money doesn't really have a value anymore. They've made up so much money that it's not based on anything. So we can guarantee that through this period that we're going through now, we're going to have to come out with a new money system that actually is based on something and is shared amongst us all in a new world where we provide for each other, most of the jobs that we have now, we don't need anymore. We have millions of jobs on insurance, paperwork, all this new computer world that's opened up. Most of it is just games, and it's all a waste of time. So in a new world, we would decide to live much simply, of course, because we would discover how rich it is. Because the more things you have, the more you have to think about them. And then you have to guard them. And then you have to insure them. And then you have to upgrade them. And then you have to throw them away. But anyone who lives a simple life will tell you what a joy it can become. Because now, instead of the TV, you're connected in with nature and you see things and you experience things. And you haven't got everyone else's ideas in your head, so you've got a fresh imagination to be inspired spiritually. All these things. Because in the end, we just want somewhere to stay that's with family and have clothes and a purpose in life. So that purpose could be just all of us just learning about life. Instead of working for life, because life is already given. It's already provided for. We just need to distribute it and live a different life that's joyful, that's evolving us, that is taking us to heights of ecstasy, of joy in showing each other just how wonderful we are as God's children. And we would have a great time turning this world around, helping nature recover itself. I couldn't think of a better thing for us all to do together. Meanwhile, we're doing nothing because of this system. We're all worried about what's going to happen because they've put us there. We've got proxy wars going on. We're supposed to be told it's defending democracy. So we need to turn away from that, and we need to come together in a new way. And we can do that just by doing it. Because by doing it, we'll know what comes next. And we'll find that God's grand plan will work out through us all. And we'll all be in place with our little bit of the jigsaw. But we can't do it unless we come together. And it's right, there are many starseeds here. There are many bright souls. But many of them also are caught up with teachings that are not true. They're caught up worshipping gods that do not exist. And many people, they reject Christianity because it's all about the father, not about the mother. So then they become a pagan to worship the mother. That's understandable. But, we know that the mother and father are part of the same family. So where their mother is, so is the father. And then we are the only children. We are the children. And we're not so far away from God that we've got to go through rounds of privileges to get there, through a priest, through a hierarchy. But God is right here in our hearts. In the left ventricle of our heart is where our soul connects. It's called the circlet of God. So our soul is right here. And that Father's spark provides our heartbeat. And our blood and our waters, fire and water, electricity and blood, all exist together, the father and the mother. And our soul connects us back to our journey through the universes, back to God, and back to reconnecting with our soul half, our true love, so that we can merge back into oneness.
That would very much link up with the East and the inner journey to reconnect with the love within us.
We are love. The whole of creation's love. It's built from love. It evolves through love. It expresses through love. It's just we are out of sync with it. And it's true, a few people can come forward for the rest. But right now, there's still not a few. Because right now, because a lot of people are with wrong teachings. Well, thank you very much for coming. I hope you got something from that. If you could leave a donation in the bowl over there. But I'd like you to know as well that the government supported tonight.
Sorry?
The government supported tonight. It means that because I'm unemployed, I'm on universal credit. And the government just gave us some extra money for so I used it to hire this hall so that I could do this talk. So the government, inadvertently sponsored tonight because tonight is speaking to everyone, really, including them. And it's not against them, because in the end, it's about individuals changing within a system to change the system. We can't change it from being on the other side, going at it. So the system shouldn't be afraid. It's collapsing from within. It doesn't need someone else to come along and do it. But each one of us can change those around us. And I really recommend checking out these websites for the teachings and telling your friends.
Could you say something about the Nazarene and Essene circles? Please?
The Nazarene Essenes is Yeshua's the Nazarene Essenes. The Christ Rose website was set up for new Essene teachings. But these teachings are also Blue Rose teachings. And the Blue Rose is what Yeshua gave the Magdalene to teach the women. So the Nazarene Essenes of the Blue Rose have been a women-only Essene group throughout that time. And also only recently have men been allowed to come into it. So if you like, the Sister Dominic, who is the Magdalene, was the Magdalene before, is trans-channeling Yeshua and Lord Yahweh and I am. So as the Magdalene, that's how these teachings are being brought through. And they're also being brought through in a book format. An example of the life of King Arthur as the Solar Lord Ara the Good, or Lord Ahura. And so that we can, people may think, well, we need someone to come along and save us. They'll lead us. But we just need to be given the information so that we can empower ourselves, so that we bring it on. Because Yeshua, he came to this earth and he was murdered, he rose, and he ascended. So ever since, he's been ascending more and more. So that when he comes and he's channeling through the Magdalene, it's all done through light vibration. Heart to heart, mind to mind, soul to soul. And then Yeshua's voice is very present. His being is very present in these channelings. But he is of a light vibration so high and so ascended, I can't speak of it really. But the point is that this earth, in all the 12 universes, is a key point. That's why Yeshua came here on this earth and not any other place, and in order to go through what he did. And also why the Grail was given to this planet, because it's not on any other planet. Because this planet originally was created before this universe, or was conceived before this universe was created. It was conceived by Archangel Lord Michael as the perfect place or model for all the other planets in the 12 universes. So when this earth was created, it was of such a nature that it had never been seen before. And it really was a paradise earth for 3 million years. And it's dropped so far, gone through many catastrophic incidences, and we are now eating the animals. It means that we fell in consciousness into the animal kingdom. We were not meant to eat animals, and we were not even meant to look like animals. But because of, in Atlantis, the way we abused the animals, the way we did crossbreeding with the animals, genetic experiments with animals, because of all that, Atlantis was destroyed and we were reborn as animal humans. Not natural to us. And not actually natural to most of the universe. So we have a long climb up, but what begins now is the beginning of this earth being restored to what it was. And this, in a way, will restore the whole of the 12 universes. And its effect affects the universes all the way through. So what is going on the earth now is like a line from the beginning, the first, to the last. And the New Jerusalem links the beginning and the past. And this place. So, for that very reason, we also have so much evil here, trying to destroy it. Because that's what they're trying to do, and us with it. And we need to turn that around, and we can do it. But we have to act, individually and collectively. Thank you.
interesting talk, I think.
Yeah, I have taken on so much new knowledge in the last, say, 4 years. And I find I have an ability, because of my life of trying to pursue circles, to pull it together, to see how it fits. So from universes down to Earths, and when I say that, you connect with the authors, if you like. Sometimes when I'm studying all this, I just get this sudden illumination, and I'm just like, oh, really? Okay, I know. And it just comes to me. I see it. And it wasn't out here. It was just like, boom. And I think, so my gift is to try and help you understand it by bringing it into circles. And tonight was the first of trying that. So I'll presumably get better and better at it. So again, if you know anyone or anywhere that might like a version of this talk, then I'm happy to be booked for it.
We don't look scared.